Most people explain Lewis Hamilton's dominance in one word: car. But the telemetry tells a far more brutal truth. He ran 5 degrees cooler tyre temperatures than his own teammate. He hit brake pressure peaks that no other driver on the grid could replicate. This was not mythology. It was forensic, measurable dominance encoded in every input. To understand how it was built and why it eventually broke, you have to go back to the beginning. Lewis Hamilton's rise was not just rapid, it was engineered. By the age of 13, he was already on McLaren's radar, signing a development contract in 1998 after clinching the British Cadet Karting Championship. That deal was not a handshake and a pat on the back. It came with access to McLaren's karting academy, regular simulator sessions, and hands-on mentorship from engineers trained to think in tenths of a second. Hamilton's weekends were spent poring over data printouts and telemetry traces, learning to treat every lap as a technical exercise. The numbers are staggering. In the 2005 Formula 3 Euro Series, Hamilton took 15 wins from 20 starts, an unmatched win rate for the era. Each race he exploited late braking lines that left rivals scrambling, a habit rooted in karting sessions where his father Anthony would move braking markers further down the track. That willingness to brake later, to trust the grip and bleed off speed with precision, became his signature. By 2006, Hamilton stepped up to GP2 with Art Grand Prix. The result was 10 wins, a 37-point margin over his closest competitor, and a championship clinched as a rookie. Team engineers noted his ability to maintain tyre temperatures several degrees below his rivals, extracting grip while preserving rubber over long stints, a trait that would define his future in Formula 1. None of this happened in isolation. McLaren's Young Driver program provided a technical pipeline with fitness regimens, engineering briefings, and early exposure to the kind of data analysis normally reserved for top-flight Formula 1 drivers. Hamilton did not just arrive in Formula 1, he was built for it, with every step measured, every input refined, and every technical resource leveraged to accelerate his ascent. Hamilton's first lap in a Formula 1 car sent a jolt through the paddock. In 2007, he lined up alongside reigning champion Fernando Alonso. No soft landing, no time to adjust. Yet from his debut in Australia, Hamilton delivered a 9-race podium streak, a metric that had not been seen from a rookie since Jacques Villeneuve. Within 6 races, he was a Grand Prix winner, taking the checkered flag at Montreal's Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. That Canadian win was not a fluke. The telemetry from those early races shows a driver braking later than anyone else, extracting grip from the McLaren MP422's Bridgestone tyres with a precision that left even Alonso searching for answers. The 2007 season went down to the wire. Hamilton finished just 1 point shy of the title, a statistical outlier for any rookie. By 2008, the numbers tipped his way. At 23, he became the youngest world champion at the time, clinching the crown with a final lap pass in Brazil that is still dissected by race engineers for its tyre management and energy deployment under pressure. The MP423's KERS system gave him a tactical edge, but it was Hamilton's ability to manage tyre temperatures, keeping the rubber in the optimal window through long stints, that made the difference. But the McLaren platform had limits. The 2009 aerodynamic overhaul exposed weaknesses in the MP424's downforce package, or KERS, reliability issues, inconsistent rear-wing architecture, and budget constraints began to bite. From 2009 to 2013, McLaren lost ground as Red Bull and Ferrari surged ahead. Hamilton's podium tally dropped, only 3 wins and 10 podiums over 5 seasons. Technical turnover in the engineering team and a 15% smaller development budget compared to rivals left McLaren chasing stability. For a driver built on technical feedback and maximum grip, the machinery simply was not keeping up. The plateau was clear. To unlock another level, Hamilton needed a new platform ready to match his relentless precision lap after lap. Hamilton joined Mercedes in 2013, signing on as the team prepared for a seismic shift in Formula One's technical landscape. The arrival of the 2014 hybrid turbo era changed everything. Mercedes' W5 hybrid delivered over 500 Nm of torque, an energy recovery system capable of releasing 160 extra horsepower, and a throttle response that let Hamilton carve through corners with rare precision. The car's broad torque curve suited his aggressive style, letting him control power delivery where others struggled with the abruptness of hybrid systems. But dominance was not guaranteed. Nico Rosberg, Hamilton's teammate and longtime rival, matched technical feedback with relentless consistency. Their rivalry split the garage, each side analysing brake maps and torque overlays, searching for any edge. Telemetry revealed the differences. Hamilton braked later and harder, reaching up to 95% of maximum pressure, while Rosberg preferred a smoother, earlier approach. Both pushed the energy recovery system to its limits, but Hamilton's ability to carry speed through medium corners kept him just ahead. Tension peaked in Spain 2016. On lap 1, a throttle map error from Rosberg delayed his engine response by 0.4 of a second, just as Hamilton lunged for a gap that disappeared. Both cars crashed out. The steward's report blamed concurrent mistakes, but the message was clear. Mercedes' technical edge had bred a rivalry with no margin for error. The season ended in Abu Dhabi. Hamilton, trailing Rosberg, used battery deployment and brake bias to control the pace, peaking at 115 kilowatts of energy recovery system power in the final laps. Rosberg held on to win the title, victory measured in tenths, forged by the smallest details. No Formula One driver's legend survives the microscope of telemetry unless it's built on measurable advantage. For Hamilton, the data is relentless. In the Mercedes hybrid era, his brake pressure traces form a signature envelope, peaking later and harder than the baseline set by Valtteri Bottas. At Monaco in 2018, Hamilton reached 180 bar of brake pressure, a full 25 bar above his teammate, and initiated braking a split second later. The result? A deceleration spike of 5.2 G, where Bottas managed 4.6 G. Overlay after overlay, the pattern repeats. Hamilton's late braking isn't just a habit, it's a quantifiable edge. Tyre management tells the same story across dozens of stints. Pit lane pyrometers show Hamilton's tyres running nearly 5 degrees Celsius cooler than those on the sister car. In the 2017 Monaco Grand Prix, his front right read 88 degrees Celsius, while Bottas's registered 92 degrees Celsius, both at identical stint lengths and speeds. Mercedes engineers, poring over rim temperature monitors, credited Hamilton's throttle modulation and brake bias finesse for a consistent 4 to 5 degrees Celsius advantage. That thermal margin is not trivial. It's the difference between a tyre that melts away and one that delivers grip to the final lap. This control isn't theoretical. The 2013 British Grand Prix saw Hamilton's right rear tyre explode at 316 km per hour. Telemetry showed a rapid drop to 30% brake pressure and a precise 2.5 degrees of steering correction, enough to keep the car pointed straight while others spun out. 7 years later in Turkey, he clinched his 7th world title on a surface so slick rivals spun just leaving the pits. Hamilton's tyre temperatures never spiked, his throttle stayed smooth, and his sector times improved as the track worsened. The numbers don't mythologize Hamilton's prime, they prove it lap after lap across every circuit and crisis. Formula One's 2021 technical overhaul rewrote the rulebook in 3 decisive ways. The first was a mandatory diagonal cut in the floor, slicing away approximately 250mm of the rear corner and reducing the effective diffuser area. This single change stripped the underfloor of a kilo pressure zone, costing teams like Mercedes an estimated 5 to 7% of total downforce. Second, the FIA imposed strict limits on rear brake duct winglets, capping their height at 90mm and the maximum chord at 140mm, down from the previous 120mm allowance. That meant less aerodynamic load over the rear axle, directly impacting high-speed braking stability and corner entry, the very ground where Hamilton's late braking style thrived. Finally, Pirelli introduced a stiffer tyre carcass, switching to an aramid reinforced belt with a tensile modulus near 350 megapascals and a sidewall thickness of 2mm. The new construction flattened the tyre's temperature envelope, reducing the peak grip window and making it harder for any driver to maintain the kind of 4 to 5 degrees Celsius advantage Hamilton routinely found in previous seasons. All 3 changes were engineered to trim performance, but together they fundamentally altered the physical limits of the car and the tools drivers had to exploit them. The 2021 rule changes did not just trim lap times, they erased the very margin that defined Hamilton's command over the field. Rear downforce losses of 5 to 7% meant the Mercedes W12 broke traction earlier, especially under trail braking, triggering rear lock where Hamilton once carved out tenths. The new floor cut and reduced rear brake duct winglet stripped away the aerodynamic stability he depended on to push deep into corners. Pirelli's stiffer tyre construction further compressed the operating window, shrinking the tyre temperature delta a Hamilton could create from roughly 5 degrees Celsius to almost nothing. Where Hamilton once ran cool tyres and found grip others could not, the new setup forced everyone into a narrower, less forgiving range. Rivals like Red Bull, who had struggled with a smaller window before, now found themselves right in the sweet spot. The telemetry tells the story. The technical edge that separated Hamilton from the pack was gone, replaced by a knife-edge balance that rewarded different philosophies and opened the door for Verstappen's rise. Today, the 2021 aerodynamic overhaul by the FIA, including low-profile rear wings, cut floor edges and stiffer tyre constructions, reset the balance of power. Precision brake traces and thermal tyre delta no longer decide the title. The margin for technical mastery shrinks, but legends like Hamilton force us to redefine what is possible. Drop your thoughts below.